The adventure finally continues on Optimal Play today as we delve into the Sliver of Silver chapter? Adventure? Whatever yeah. We're playing Legacy of Dragonholt. I'm not sure what you call the scenario. It's a quest, right? Quest. Yeah. Okay. We're on... This is our third session of this game, so it will have spoilers for the last ones. If you're interested, you can go back and check out our previous videos. And does anyone remember how we got to these mines?
I do, quite well actually. So we
that's a relief.
We visited the blacksmith, and when talking to the blacksmith after getting an upgrade via weapons or armor, we asked if there was anything we could do to help. And she said that she had a goblin problem in the mine. So they're trying to reopen the silver mines. And we're going to do that by killing off a lot of what appear to be intelligent creatures. So this is going to be a little bit gruesome. But whatever that blacksmith needs, we'll probably get some sweet coin out of the deal. So
goblins in no way have a racist back history, so no. We should be great.
My name, by the way, is Brandon, and I'm playing the role of Thrand Landowner, a human bard who had a rich upbringing and was sent off to bardic school and now just wants attention, mostly.
And to play his theremin.
And to play his magical theremin.
I think you should call it a barding school. Is that...
What did I say, bardic school?
You did, which is fine, but I think barding is fun because it's like a pun on boarding.
Oh, well, yeah, what I wrote on my sheet is Bardic Boarding School, which is now kind of a missed opportunity.
A beautiful alliteration, though.
It's too late now.
Ryan, who are you playing?
I am No Name, the elf. I'm a wildlander, age 19, male, very tall, having a great day.
Always.
I've lived my life in the wilds of Terranoth, fording rivers, scaling mountains, and killing bad guys, all in the hope of earning that which has always eluded me, which is my name. I'm strong and confident, but on the edge of a full-blown existential crisis, because I really want a name. That's pretty much it.
Millennials.
Yeah.
So entitled.
Always on that verge of the existential crisis.
I bet you there's one in the mines.
And I have a healing potion.
We can get it for you. Yeah, you do. Right.
You can take the names of one of the goblins we will assuredly kill.
Great. I am Gimli, the elf.
Is that where elves get their names? From someone they killed?
Yeah.
Want to go ahead, Lindsay?
Yeah. I am Jinx, thief catfolk, age 23. My background is that I was abandoned at a young age, and I had to learn to fend for myself for much of my life. And I now use others to get what I need, but otherwise I rarely let people get close. And I used to live alone on the outskirts of town, but now I hang out with these guys.
Cool.
Big improvement, I'd say.
Yeah.
We're happy to have you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, my character is not. He's not happy to have anyone. But my character is Zadie Redbeard. He is a dwarf. He has a black beard, not a red beard. He's old and grumpy, very experienced in craftsmanship, history, endurance, self-sufficiency, learning, etc., etc.
And listing his skills.
He will talk your ears off if you let him. But he also has 2 healing potions. And he's 87 years old, so he's the prime of his life as a dwarf.
Should I also mention the fact that at some point during our first adventure I found this wooden trinket?
Yeah, I wonder if that's anything.
I don't know. I doubt it.
Someday we'll find the reason for it.
We won't.
No?
They wouldn't.
So, with that, we're ready to go on the next adventure.
Should I just read the opening flavor text?
Yeah, why don't you read the start and we'll go from there.
You trek south away from the Willow Grove in Dragonholt. After an hour hike, you make your way down into a rocky fissure that branches from the main road. The path soon leads over a stone bridge that crosses an underground river. A few buildings stand before the mine's entrance in various states of disrepair. The mine's main entrance is blocked by a makeshift set of double doors, barred from the inside by a heavy wooden beam. You recall the map Fiore showed you and follow the river's edge to a thicket of brambles. Sliding between the rock face of the ravine and the hazardous thorns, you come across the concealed tunnel you were told about, a narrow and dark passage that falls deep into the stone. Steeling yourself for the journey, you light a lantern and carefully climb down into the darkness. The passage twists along, rough walls speaking clearly of its emergency nature, and you pick your way along...
Emergency nature?
That's what it says. The passage twists along, rough walls, speaking clearly of its emergency nature.
Like it was
like
dug.
its purpose is to be for emergencies.
Oh.
So its nature is in case of emergency.
I
Gotcha.
see. The passage twists along, rough walls speaking clearly of its emergency nature, and you pick your way along gingerly, careful to keep your light low. Finally, you come to the point where the passage joins a main hallway, though the opening between the two passages is no more than a gap in the rock beside a wooden support beam. You are about to squeeze through when you hear approaching footsteps and the voices of two goblins idly jabbering with one another as they patrol. So there are two options. Ambush the patrolling goblins, which does not exhaust your activation token, or hide until the patrol has passed by.
Now is Jinx the decider for this, or can
No, I
anyone
think
else
anybody
jump
can
in?
decide.
Any of us can decide, and then
I don't know. I feel like we should come up with a plan of action before we start ambushing and killing goblins.
I disagree.
Yeah, I remember that from last time.
We're
It did
here.
not go well.
We're here to kill the goblins.
I
Why let two goblins go? There is no plan. The plan is kill the goblins.
But we don't even know how many goblins there are in total. We don't know if there's more coming.
If we kill
if
them,
these two get away, it's going to alert them that and all the rest of them come. It's better
We
for
might
us.
just get somewhere and learn we can flood the cave
That's
and
what I
kill
was-
them all.
No.
So-
Yeah, who's
if
to
we
say-
kill them, there are two fewer. It's easier to kill the remainder. This is basic arithmetic. Kill
Wait,
them now.
Here's the thing, though, is you're assuming that we will be successful in killing them.
This game isn't going to let us. I don't think we're going to turn the pages and be like, you guys, can you swear in this?
Sure.
Okay, you guys fucked up. Game over. That's it. And then we'd be like, all right, pack it up. No, it's going to be like, oh, now you got to use archery, and now you got
It's gonna say
to talk the history out of them.
the person whose opinion it was that you should do this loses all their stamina. Actually,
I will claim that.
That sounds pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind, but that's
Get
not
him
what's
out
going to
of here.
happen.
No.
Although I think you're outvoted, Shane, so.
I lean towards being sneaky until we find a way to kill them all at once.
I recognize your opinion.
Ryan?
I just simply wish
I'm
there
the
was
same.
a mechanism. Thank you. I'm talking. Thank you. I simply wish there was a mechanism where you could all agree, and then I could decide to ambush on my own and have that play out. I recognize that that's not built in, or maybe it is.
I also wish you were playing a solo game.
I was going to say, I feel like you've become emboldened in this political climate.
That's right. That's me. All right.
Okay, so I guess my question is if we're hiding until the patrol passes by, that does exhaust my activation token? Is that...
It
Well-
exhausts whomever decides to.
Also, whoever makes the decision is the one whose skills are most likely to come into play. So who seems like they'd be good at sneaking, hiding, that kind
I
of
have
thing.
agility and stealth
I have agility and survival,
and deception
and I'm streetwise.
Agility, stealth, and deception seems like it covers all the bases.
and thievery. But I guess that's my question is, since we're taking the second one, am I then done?
No,
and I have
if
to
this
pass
is
it?
you follow this.
You will read whatever comes next until the next decision, and then that's when you'll hand it off.
Oh.
Got
It's
it,
like that
okay.
decision.
Wait, but so does that mean we don't want to waste hers on this? Does that make sense?
Not really. This is just to make sure that we take turns.
Okay.
Like, there's no wasting it, really. The faster we flip them all, the faster we'll all get them all back.
You draw back into the shadows of the passageway. The goblins pause in front of the opening to jabber at one another for a moment. You shield the light of your lantern from view, but accidentally touch it to the passage wall, creating the faintest dull clank that echoes softly down the narrow tunnel. If you have reasoning or stealth, which I do, 9780. You carefully pull back and hold your breath. Silence follows, and the goblins don't seem to have noticed the sound. After a long moment, the goblins continue on their way, jabbering to one another as they go. You wait patiently until they are long gone before you take a breath and slip from the side passage. Did anybody have reasoning, by the way?
I was
Last one?
wondering that.
Nope.
No,
Does anybody else have stealth, or was this literally perfect for me?
it was perfect for
Perfect for you.
Cool.
Good job.
1751. You follow the main passage along the route you recall from the map until you come to a large rectangular room. On the left is a vast stone trough. A pipe nearly an arm's length across emerges upward from the stone floor to deposit water in the trough, but no water is flowing now. A water wheel connects to a collection of gears that powers a small water screw, presumably the one meant to pump the water up to the river above. Along the back wall is an iron walkway elevated above the ground. Under the walkway, a large furnace is set to the wall, cold and dark. Above, along the walkway, are a series of levers and wheels. This seems exactly like the type of thing that we could use to
Yeah.
flood the entire
Yeah.
cavern. Shane.
Well, okay.
All right, so then we have a decision. So
Is
we
one
can
of them flood the cavern?
kind of heat the furnace and get the pipeworks running again, and that requires either craftsmanship or reasoning. Blindly attempt to activate the pipe system, or ignore the pipeworks and continue onward.
Sorry, blindly attempts to activate it?
Blindly attempt to activate the
Blindly
system.
feels negative.
Yeah.
That
I think
feels
we should
like
get the pipes working.
What does that even mean,
I
blindly?
have
Blindly means
craftsmanship.
do it without knowing what you're doing. So if,
Yeah.
So if you don't
nobody
have-
has reasoning or craftsmanship,
I have craftsmanship.
I
so-
have craftsmanship, and I've spent 87
Okay.
of my years doing this. Thank you.
But do you want to fix the pipes, or do you want to go back there and attack those two?
I wish I could do both. Thank you very much.
It does figure that we're in the mines, the dwarf would steal the show here.
That's right.
Unfortunately, he also steals the show everywhere else.
You're welcome. Zadie Redbeard at your service. All right. I'm going to heat the furnace and get the pipeworks running again. You have to shovel and begin loading coal from a nearby pile into the furnace. You find tinder in a small alcove beside the furnace, and soon the furnace is aglow with heat. I don't know that you necessarily need
Tinder.
to know craftsmanship to do that. Like, I feel like
Maybe that's just because you're such a good craftsman.
survival.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Oh, well, to be fair, you are Thran landowner.
I knew
were
what
quite
you
a
did.
time
You never had to start a fire in your life.
No,
right.
never lifted anything even. Or hefted, I think. You hefted it?
In fantasy world, it's only hefting.
Yeah.
The word lift doesn't exist in the fantasy land. With the furnace running, you take stock of the controls and mechanisms, testing a few to see how they function. You determine that the pipes are still in workable condition. Spinning a wheel, you hear the screech of long steel metal sliding against metal as the larger water screw begins to turn slowly. You release one lever, and the screeching stops, and the screw builds up speed. Before long, a constant stream of water pours from the water screw to fill the trough. You pull another lever, and the smaller water screw begins to pull water from the trough and out of the mine. After making a few more minor adjustments to the speed of the two screws, the water level in the stone trough is constant, and you believe you've successfully activated the pipeworks. Mark story point H6.
Mm-hmm.
Time passes, which is, I think, tracked here.
Yes, on the back there.
You just
1
lost
out
your
of
spot.
8,
8,
1934 or something.
Good job.
You're welcome.
I didn't say thank you.
A rare good decision by Zadie Redbeard.
I also like the difference in your voice of when you're communicating with your fellow party members and when you're reading. You're a jerk to all of us, but you have a very pleasant reading voice.
And, the narrator is a whole different ballgame. You leave the pipeworks behind and descend a set of stairs into another tunnel. Just then, you hear an odd scraping sound. Carefully, you edge forward and look around a corner. A side passage opens up into a natural cavern, which is studded with small fungal growths that glow with a faint purple luminescence. To one side of the cavern, a lone goblin is leaning over, looking at something on the ground and making small, snorty giggles. Whatever it's doing, it doesn't seem to have noticed you. Our options are draw your weapon and attack, sneak up behind the goblin and subdue it quickly, or ignore the goblin and sneak past.
Uh-oh.
I do not have a decision because my token is
You know which one you
turn.
would.
It's
So, what are everybody's skills? Because I feel like sneaking up behind the goblin is going to require like a stealthy.
I'll need like agility or stealth.
Yeah.
yeah, you are
I have
agile.
agility.
I don't know, but
Um,
when we did the other stealth stuff, it was reasoning and stealth, not stealth versus agility.
No, but we're just trying to figure out which are the most likely ones to be used, and then
And
I have archery.
sneaking up on a goblin and like dispatching it quickly, could be agility.
That could be agility.
Yeah. Sneaking past again?
Yeah.
Like if neither of us are stealthy, I'm a little nervous about that. My only remotely applicable skill is brawling.
that would probably be good for drawing an attack.
So I don't. What do you think?
I feel like brawl though isn't like quietly taking care.
Well,
of
no,
it.
because there's the draw your weapon and attack, and
Yeah.
that would probably be good for that one. So Brandon could do the first one, and you could do the second one.
Mhm.
I lean towards you attempting the sneak, but what do
Yeah,
you
I
think?
feel like the sneak gives us an upper hand.
I lean towards brawling.
Well, we know that.
That's not a
But
surprise.
you already demanded to use your craftsman to fix the pipe.
And who fixed the pipes?
I'm just saying, if you had saved it and
I'm
let
just
Ryan
saying.
fix the pipes,
You'd have a
you could-
chance
you'd
to
have
kill.
a chance to kill him.
I'm not even that confident that brawling will be
Yeah.
the useful skill there. It does say you draw your weapon and attack already. That doesn't sound that much like brawling.
That's
Fair.
true.
I could have done a great job dueling.
Yeah, well, you wasted your
Okay.
turn.
I want.
I'm gonna quietly kill.
So, Brandon, tell us about when they'll release the one-person version of this, where I can do all this on my own.
It's called video games.
On silent feet, you slink into the cavern like a shadow. You are only just out of reach when the creature suddenly stands and jabbers something to itself under its breath. The goblin reaches for the dagger at its belt. If you have brawling
Oh, come
Damn
on.
it!
Really?
or stealth,
Okay.
I don't have stealth.
Oh, I thought you did.
No,
I got
he has
stealth
agility.
agility.
Yeah.
Agility. Otherwise, read entry 3400.
I can't believe that what should have happened was I did the sneaking.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh well.
A rare miss by everyone but Zadie Redbeard.
That's right. Although I don't know that brawling would have worked for the decision I was advocating for.
You startle, having not expected the goblin to stand so suddenly. The creature hears your sharp intake of breath and whirls around, then stumbles backward in shock, stunned to see a stranger here. There's an odd squishing sound, and an explosion of purple spores erupts from the goblin's feet.
Uh-oh.
It yelps, then slips, whacking its head on the wall and slumping to the ground unconscious. Oh, that worked out.
We did it.
Well, I'm worried about these mushrooms.
Yeah, spores in the air sounds like it might affect us too.
Well, we're going to read entry 1014.
Also, are we to assume that whenever it talks about the goblins jabbering, that they're speaking in another language that we just don't understand?
I'm guessing, yeah.
Or maybe they're speaking in a non-language. You know, like dogs bark, but they're not really talking.
You don't speak dog? Haven't you had a dog for a while?
Oh, is this going to be that moment where I learned that I've been missing out on something?
Yes.
All right.
Ugh.
You examine what the goblin had been looking at, a patch of odd mushrooms identical to the ones high up on the ceiling and walls of the cavern. The mushrooms in this patch are larger than the others. You pluck the largest one and keep as a sample. You gain one strange mushroom, item S,
Oh.
and read entry 6208.
I was thinking that would be. Oh, but you have survival as well.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so if there was a survival test, you know. Well, maybe.
There you go, Ryan. There's your strange mushroom.
This mushroom glows from beneath its cap and produces a terribly pungent scent. Could it be poisonous?
Probably.
Instead of choosing a location in the village, you can eat this strange mushroom by reading entry 7549.
Oh, so you can eat that
In the village.
And you love mushrooms.
Cool. Leaving the cavern behind, you follow the main corridor further underground. After some time, you come across a thick iron door set into the side of the passageway. What you remember being marked as the blastworks. The choices are take a look inside. This option does not exhaust an activation token. Or pass by the blastworks. That option does not exhaust an action either.
Well, I
So
certainly
you
think we
keep
should.
going.
Does this ring a bell to anyone else? Did we like
Blast door?
learn something about the? I remember we were able to ask Fiore or someone about like the blastworks and the
Yeah.
pipeworks.
I have notes on the back if anybody took it. Anybody took notes?
Yeah, I had a couple notes too.
Did we?
I have no notes. I
What?
don't need notes.
Goblin infestation with Fiore Bright
Good so
Maw.
far.
this is
at Smithy. That's who we learned it from.
Okay. I want to say that we had like the choice to ask about the pipeworks or the blastworks, and I'm trying to think. Given those two, I think we obviously would have chosen the blastworks, right? Because that sounds awesome.
Well, I also
Yeah.
don't remember either thing, so
Like I have some vague recollection.
We could shroom.
Yeah,
that's only in the village.
Yeah.
I think we could try it.
Just read that number in this book.
Yeah.
We will suddenly be back in the village.
All of our time has passed.
Because does this ring a bell to anyone else? Some kind of warning about not lighting a match or like
No, I mean
I remember
the idea of
hearing about there
blastworks
being
really-
blastworks, but
pretty man. I'm gonna have to go back and like watch our video or something. I'm sure that we learned about the blastworks.
I think we could go into the like no one's saying light a match, so
Yeah, so it's my decision since I'm the one who hasn't gone.
Well, no,
it's
it
not
doesn't-
it's not a decision.
It doesn't exhaust his token, so
Yeah.
he keeps going.
It says it doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Oh, I
So
missed
the,
that.
the,
Okay.
the- yeah.
Yeah, I read it.
We're not even going in. We're taking a look. I don't see what the harm is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay.
Let's get in there.
70.
Let's get up in it.
Can you stop saying that?
It's like
Here we
my
go.
catchphrase. Lady Redbeard's catchphrase. Let's get up
Here
in
we go.
it.
Here's the reminder. Remembering Fiore's caution regarding the blastworks, You are careful to place your lanterns just outside the doorway as you step inside. The room is square and no more than four paces across, with walls, floor, and ceiling lined with rough riveted iron. Nearly everything in the room is metal as well. Mixing stations for powder, supply shelves, crates for explosives, excepting only giant glass jars of raw materials marked with paper labels long faded. The lighting comes from hanging glass flasks full of luminescent purple mushrooms, though time has dulled their light to a soft amethyst glow, making the room worryingly dim. We have 3 choices. Create your own explosives from the components, which requires alchemy.
Which you have. Oh no, you have Arcana.
And
I
it's
don't think
only you.
anybody has alchemy.
So grab some explosives from the crates, which doesn't require anything, or leave the explosives and move on.
So, I have zero faith in the flooding plan with Redbeard at the helm to work. So,
Craftsmanship,
Well,
military, history, endurance, dueling, survival.
again,
87 years old. Man, sage, dwarf, Zadie Redbeard.
Beer.
Need I go on?
No.
I don't think you
please
possibly could. I think you covered it all.
I've got, having left Dunwar.
I also think that even if that is the plan, in order to, like, it might make it easier to flood everything if we can just blow stuff up.
No, I think this would make sense if we had someone with this alchemy skill.
No, I'm saying doing the second one, just stealing the explosives.
Oh yeah, I mean it requires the alchemy skill to create your own explosives.
Oh, right.
That's not an option.
Oh,
We can
yeah,
either grab some or leave them. I'm going to grab some.
Yeah, I don't
All
think
right. Well, I'll tell you
Because-
what. I'm not going to use one of my healing potions on them when they inevitably go off in your hands.
On the explosion? You're not going to use a healing potion on the explosives?
On you after you attempt to grab the explosives. I think I made myself clear.
Well, we're playing a game, and explosions are awesome. Therefore,
Let's do it.
I'm getting the explosives.
I feel like you're really leaning into this baby boomer personality. I'm right, you're wrong. No explosive, no fun.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my fungus lawn.
You search the crates, pushing aside piles of straw in search of some usable explosives. It seems the crates have been ransacked already, and at first all you find are broken casings, discarded fuses, and a thin layer of blasting powder at the bottom of the crate. If you have awareness or reasoning, I do not, we would read one entry. Otherwise, read entry 7684.
It's literally the antithesis of who you are as a person.
You
Yeah.
have no awareness.
It was awareness or reasoning? Yeah, I have. You're right. You continue searching and soon discover a crate that must have been missed when the room was ransacked. Ah, awareness after all. Amongst the straw, you find nearly a half dozen explosives that are still intact. You take a few of them, not sure what is to come deeper in the mine. We mark story point X8. And then read another entry. 4037.
With situations like that, I always wonder what awareness would have done since we ended up finding something anyway.
Maybe we would have gotten an item.
Oh, maybe.
You cautiously open the door to the main corridor and look down in confusion, realizing your lantern is missing. Maybe we would have been aware of the
Yeah, that's probably it.
theft of a lantern. Standing in front of you is a goblin holding the lantern and examining it curiously.
Shit.
The creature looks up to see you standing in the doorway, and for a moment neither of you move. Then it shrieks and drops the lantern to the ground where the glass shatters. Before you're completely aware of what has just happened, the goblin is sprinting down the tunnel ahead of you with surprising speed. The lantern oil on the ground catches, and the fire soon spreads over the tunnel
Shit.
floor. We've got a decision to make, which means we're all back in.
Can we put out the fire?
We can leap the flames and chase the goblin. We can put out the fire before giving chase, or we can squelch the hazard with runic frost if we have an item called the frost rune, which to my knowledge, we do not.
I have mushrooms.
We can't use that here.
Pour some mushrooms on it.
Mushroom, not
Pour
mushroom.
some mushrooms on me.
I think only you get to use the mushrooms. I don't think the rest of us get to use them.
I say we put out the fire.
Oh,
I
but the
feel like-
goblin's gonna get away and warn everyone.
Yeah,
So it's
The
interesting.
fire can't reach the blastworks. We'll all die.
but so will the goblins.
But there's no
You're right. Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
But we took the last explosives out of it. Fire
And they're on
prob-
us.
probably won't blow it
They're
up.
on our person.
Ooh.
Oh, it does seem like a bad idea to leap flames carrying.
Put out the fire. It's a really obvious choice.
Well,
Sounds
can I-
like you want to do that.
Sure. Thinking quickly, you kick the lantern down the tunnel to remove at least one source of ignition from the pooled oil. Next, you untether your bedroll and throw it down to smother the flames. As you stomp out the last embers, you hear it clatter and shriek. You look up to see that the fleeing goblin has tripped over the discarded lantern and is now struggling. These goblins are dumb as hell.
Well, actually, this ends up being the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
We both stopped the goblin and put out the fire.
It's true. And having played a couple other games in this Terranoth universe, the goblins are dumb as hell.
Yeah.
The goblin tripped over the lantern and is struggling to get to its feet once more. You scoop up your bedroll, only slightly singed, and give chase.
Oh, good. We can still sleep.
4, 4, 4,
God.
7. You keep running, following the goblin to what appears to be a way station for mining carts, nearly empty except for a pair of carts sitting on a downward sloping track. Oh, this sounds like fun. Without slowing down, the goblin jumps into the front cart and releases the brake lever. The cart quickly picks up speed as it glides along the tracks, and its goblin rider lets out a self-satisfied cackle.
Is this literally Indiana Jones?
I was picturing Donkey Kong Country.
That was my other reference that I was thinking, but...
You leap into the other cart, lift the brake, and are soon speeding along after the creature. The carts careen through the dimly lit mine tunnels, increasing in speed as the tracks take you deeper underground. The goblin takes notice of your rolling pantsuit. Your rolling pursuit. The goblin takes notice of your rolling pursuit.
Brian, will you please design a rolling pantsuit?
Yes, I will. I'll try when it's Shane's turn. You're gaining on it. The creature hefts a sizable rock from its cart and holds it overhead, ready to toss it in your direction. So we can anticipate the goblin's throw and dodge, catch the hurled projectile, blast the stone from the goblin's hand, which requires an arcana skill or rune skill.
I don't think we have either of those.
We do. You
I
have Arcana.
I have Arcana. Yeah, so I could blast the stone or...
Blasting seems ill-advised.
Yeah. Especially considering we have a ton of explosives.
Yeah.
But
Blast.
But we're blasting it
I'm
from
in-
his hand, not from our hands.
I'm an excellent arcanist.
We just remembered
Are you though?
Fiore's warning.
Well, we're not in the blast room
Yeah.
anymore.
We're
I also
we're
seem to
adjacent.
remember from the first one, though, that like just because they give you the option to use a skill doesn't necessarily mean that that's the best course of action.
That is a good point.
I feel like every time it required you to use a skill, that's when somebody ended up losing a bunch of stamina.
That's true. You were not good luck for us. Not like me.
I think we should
Well-
just dodge.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
I like the idea of catching it.
It's probably gonna be like gross mushrooms or something.
Yeah, but more mushrooms.
No, it's a rock. It's a sizable rock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably made of mushrooms or something. We're gonna find out something about that rock if you catch it.
I mean, I'm not opposed to using Arcana. I just wanted to highlight that because that was my recollection from last
I
one.
think you're absolutely right.
No.
I don't think this is the time to be hurling spells.
I also, what I remember a lot from the last one is that a lot of times when you're required to use one, they need you to have a second one that's pretty complimentary, and I feel
Yeah.
like
What are you saying about my skill
Well, like-
menu?
they're not complimentary to Arcana. There's a lot of ones that are complimentary, but that
There's
one was just
not.
kind of thrown on at the
There's
end.
not.
You're saying that my Arcana won't be followed by a streetwise?
Probably not.
I am not the one to dodge or catch the projectile, so
Jinx, with her
I can
agility,
dodge
should
pretty well.
dodge.
fine by me.
You lower your hips and watch the goblin's movements, ready to dodge in either direction once the stone is hurled at you. The creature heaves and tosses the stone with all of its might. If you have agility or awareness, of which I have both,
Yes.
Ooh.
8699.
Are we still in rolling pantsuit?
We're still on rolling pantsuit. The goblin has failed to account for the movement of the carts, or perhaps it doesn't know its strength. In either case, the rock arcs high, and you are able to easily duck under it. The stone crumbles against the iron rails with an echoing clatter. The goblin hisses in your direction and stoops to lift another rock. This one, however, is too large for the creature, and try as it might, it cannot lift the stone slab. 2472.
These poor goblins.
I know.
Are we just
They just want to live
committing
in their cave.
genocide on a group of dumb animals, essentially?
Yeah, why are we trying to clear this cave again?
Because
Which
it
one was it?
belongs to the humans.
Because we
I
can't
don't
mine
know.
because of money, because we
Yeah.
can't mine the silver resources within the mines as long as this dumb minority race is
Yeah, so
occupying it.
The answer to why are we killing all the goblins is capitalism.
Yeah.
Mm.
The passage opens into a much larger natural cavern eroded by an underground river over the centuries. The chamber is several paces across and extends to the far right into the darkness. The track ahead crosses a bridge over a narrow channel of water before coming to an abrupt end at a buffer stop. As soon as the goblin's cart clears the bridge, the creature leaps out and tucks into a nimble roll before bouncing back to its feet and turning to face you. That's a surprise.
Yeah.
The abandoned cart crashes into the buffer stop with a cacophonous ring of iron. Your cart crosses the bridge and is only a moment from colliding with the cart ahead and coming to a dead halt. Our options are throw the brake lever, leap from the minecart to safety, use the cart's momentum to launch a flying assault. I know which one you're going to want to do.
I want to do that.
Tumble from the cart and fire at the goblin, which requires archery, which I think only you have.
I have archery, but
we're
you're
done.
tabbed.
Throw the cart at the goblin with your tremendous strength, which requires athletics and endurance.
And endurance.
Athletics and endurance.
Wow.
You're right.
I don't think we've seen that before.
And launch the minecart at the goblin with runic magic, which requires arcana and ruin.
I don't even remember runes being an option, but okay.
It definitely was.
Maybe if we get good enough in town, I can train it.
Yeah, because I feel like arcana
Those-
and runes always go together.
Go together a lot.
Do you have athletics and endurance?
I just have endurance.
I would say use the cart's momentum to launch a flying assault.
That sounds like you.
Although
Sounds like me.
that I feel like that would require agility, but
I think I'll be fine.
Or brawling.
or brawling. That's true. You're going head-to-head combat.
I have a really hard time picturing myself.
All right, I'll do it. Let's do this.
If this requires brawling, I swear to God.
It does. You brace yourself for impact. Just as the cart collides with the blockade, you leap forward, allowing your momentum to launch you through the air straight towards the goblin. Time seems to slow around you, and the creature's face turns from triumph to abject horror. If you have brawling,
What did I just say?
Fuck, Brandon.
which is what
It's
I
not
said.
Brandon's fault. It is definitely Shane's
What?
fault.
I mean, I did.
I think it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B.
I am 0 for 2 on like being in the right spot at the right time for my brawling.
You shift and extend your legs forward to collide with the goblin's chest. The force of the impact sends the goblin flying backwards to slam against a heavy wooden support beam. You land hard on your back on the rough stone floor. And that's bad. At my age, you gotta take care of your back. Only after a few moments of struggling are you able to pull yourself up to your feet, your body aching. I lose 2 stamina.
This sounds so familiar.
Read entry 6323.
It really does seem like classic Zadie, doesn't it?
I'm gonna do this thing even though somebody else is better suited for it.
No, he wasn't gonna do it. Somebody had to do it, which is why I did it.
I do have to admit, I was not convinced that brawling would be useful there.
Even after the last one?
Yeah, now
What do you think brawling is other than a hand-to-hand combat?
that's all I think it is.
That's what that was. You were jumping out to engage in hand-to-hand
Exactly.
combat.
I thought it would be about the launch, not the combat.
Well, so the other thing too, going back to it, if we could do it again, the other one was like leap for safety, and I think that was probably the one that would have required
Yeah.
agility. So if you had given me a couple of seconds, I probably could have talked him into it.
He declined. We don't
I
have time
declined.
for this. Every day that passes is a day that I'm closer to death, and I don't want to do that.
Don't dwarves live to be like super old?
Yeah,
Hey,
that's-
man, I'm pretty sure I'm
87, I'm pretty sure is like the prime.
Not Sadie Redbeard.
No, it's like,
You even introduced yourself as you were in the prime of your life.
well, I mean, prime of my life, like a 58-year-old
That was like 2 weeks
human is
ago.
in the prime of their life. They say it, but it's not true. Having dealt with the fleeing goblin, you take a better look at your surroundings. This larger tunnel was clearly carved by the underground river, but the back wall has been braced with sturdy wooden beams, and multiple mine shafts have been dug through the stone. To the left, the tunnel is blocked off by a dam made of tarred wood and fortified with iron bands. To the right, the natural passage continues on until you can no longer see its walls through the darkness. Braced against one of the support beams some 10 paces away stands a rickety wooden shack that must have once served as a foreman's office. If story point H6 is marked,
It is.
which it is because of the water stuff, read entry 6522. I'm really good at reading, so this is excellent. The dam bows in the middle from years of water pressure. There are gaps along the top of the dam that you take to the emergency overflow relief. The structure below the gaps is worn, as if the water flowed through for many years, but no water pours forth now. You can see a large pipe nearly as wide as your arm is long that extends up from the water beyond the dam and up through the stone ceiling. The piping shakes slightly, and you hear the distant grinding of the Dunbar water screw pulling water up through the mine. Thanks to your efforts at the pipeworks, you can see that you've relieved an immense pressure from the dam.
Oh,
1511.
so you stopped the flood. We were trying to start a flood.
But we still want to have access to the mine.
That's
right?
true.
So we don't want to flood it and just have it be like flooded.
We wanted
to do one of those things where it's like flood and then water goes out. Which maybe now that things are working, we can do.
You forgot what
You
you were
already
going to read.
I didn't. I'm right here. Yep.
Sigh relief.
With all your companions dead.
In fire, in the blast room. Suddenly you realize that 2 goblins have been standing a few paces away for some time. One of them holds a spear and gawks at its incapacitated comrade. The other carries a bow and stares wide-eyed in your direction. The goblin archer clutches at the arrows in the makeshift quiver at its belt. The spear-wielding goblin turns its gaze toward you and rushes at you, shouting. Our options.
My options.
Your options.
Uh-oh.
Also, this place is literally crawling with goblins. I see why the villagers were so concerned.
Yeah.
These are like the 4th and 5th goblins.
Yeah, we've only been to like 3 rooms.
Yeah,
I mean, imagine you went to a mall. If you only had seen like 5 people in a mall that you'd been to like 4 stores,
That's fair.
you wouldn't think it was crawling with humans. You'd be like, these buildings could do better. Brace yourself to receive the charge. Read entry 6064.
Mm-hmm.
Dodge the spear strike and counterattack. Read entry 9508. Fire at the goblin archer with your own bow, but that requires archery. Pepper the archer with throwing knives. Requires thievery.
Well, I don't have either of those skills.
I would also say brace yourself for the receiving charge is going to be military, and dodging the spear strike and counterattack is going to be agility.
Oh,
So
I
I
thought-
think you're screwed.
I thought you were going to say brace yourself for the charge is brawling.
I think that's
Which-
your best bet. But
Yeah.
we may have
I-
already exhausted
probably not brawling.
your possibilities of
Oh,
using brawling.
I do have willpower also. It
Willpower.
could be that. I definitely have no chance of like dodging this dodging the spear and counterattacking. That is not a thing that I would accomplish. So I'm gonna brace myself to receive the charge.
What skills do you have?
It doesn't seem like
Nothing
much.
of note.
It's hard to call them skills, frankly.
Oh, you called it, Lindsay. You lower your stance and ready yourself to receive the goblin's charge. The goblin leaps in the air as it nears you and thrusts the spear point at your chest. If you have military skill,
I would just like to point out for the record that I've gotten very good at figuring out what skills you're going to need based on this,
the thing is,
and everybody should listen to me from now on.
now that we were down to me having to do it, it didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
But it does mean that Shane and I did the exact wrong things.
Yes, that's what
Again.
it means.
Oh, I have military.
Yes.
Yep, I do.
Not expecting the sudden leap, you stagger backward and the goblin's spear point sinks into your leg. You roar your pain and slash at the goblin with your own weapon, theremin. 3 strikes are enough to leave the creature unmoving on the ground. 3 strikes at the theremin will take you down.
I mean, I can see it.
I lose 3 stamina.
Oh, we're in this together now. Both 9 points of life left.
You focus your attention on the goblin archer who has bolted to the cover of a nearby minecart and knocked an arrow. It loses an arrow that narrowly misses, whistling past your ear. We've got choices again. They are close the distance and attack, loose your own arrow at the goblin if you have archery skill, or lob a flask of Lorimar fire at the creature if you have alchemy. So there's no alchemy, right?
Are we all back on the
No,
table?
yeah, we're all back on the
Yeah,
table.
we are all back up. Would
I
you?
have archery.
Sorry, what's the
Yeah.
first one?
First one was close the distance and attack.
That sounds like brawling.
Do you want to fire back
Yeah, it's either that or maybe brawling if that's.
to close the distance and attack?
But that might
I
also
think
be
archery
military.
is good.
Also, it is oh, it says to the cover of a nearby minecart. I was wondering if it would be endurance if it's like a long run to close the gap, but not really.
Okay, I'll do archery.
Football field apart.
All right, 7795.
Seriously, though, what are your skills?
Mine: persuasion, streetwise, performance, brawling, willpower, and arcana.
I do
A
feel like it's the
classic
same.
combination.
Like we end up using the same couple of
Yeah.
skills every single time.
Well, it'll probably depend on the
I mean,
adventure.
considering we're
Yeah.
up against goblins whose language we don't speak, like persuasion, performance, and stuff are kind of off the table here.
yeah,
so
I'm just remembering, like, I feel like every time the ones that I've been using are agility and stealth. The ones that you've been using are military and craftsman. The one we've used archery quite a bit. In yours, I think the only one we've used is performance, but, you know.
how dare you? Actually, that is literally the only one I want to use, so.
And I do remember it working very well.
Yeah, got hit points
Yeah,
back.
did good stuff.
All right, you swiftly knock an arrow, sighting your enemy, just as the goblin pops up again from behind the minecart to loose another arrow. You release the missile smoothly and take a moment of satisfaction to see it bury itself up to the fletching in the chest of your enemy, who collapses without a sound. Read 1420. So we killed him.
Good job.
Hooray.
Just as you think you might have found some peace, great.
Oh boy.
You hear a sound like oncoming thunder.
Oh, here are the goblins.
After some time, the noise... This place is crawling with goblins.
Told you.
Who could have expected that?
No one could have anticipated this.
After some time, the noise resolves into the sound of countless goblin feet flooding into the cavern. In moments, the chamber is filled with goblins
It
flowing...
flooded in. We started the flood.
Wrong type of flood.
In moments, the chamber is filled with goblins flowing out of the tunnels and packing shoulder to shoulder in a ring around you. The goblins jeer and brandish weapons and torches. Though the air is filled with malice, none of them attack. The door of the foreman's office creaks open, and the goblin horde falls silent. In the
Wait,
door...
the door of the foreman's office?
Yeah, we saw the foreman's office earlier.
Oh, okay. So I thought that they were saying that the goblins had a foreman. And I
They
like
may. This may be the goblin foreman.
I think the Goblin King just works out of the foreman's office.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're about to find out. In the doorway stands the single largest goblin you've ever seen, easily half again the height of any other goblin and as wide as he is tall.
I bet it's Splig.
Roll.
He's like the first boss of every game in this universe. Is this goblin king named Splig? Yeah.
Rolls of
2 G's or 1 G?
1G.
I feel like it could use 2 G's, but
rolls of fat cascade from his chin. Unlike the other goblins who wear no more than worn leathers, this one is outfitted with a bewildering array of armor, all too big or too small for him. A fine breastplate has been deconstructed into sections and lashed awkwardly across his chest. What were once fine velvet trousers are being held up by a hard-working combination of a sturdy leather belt and suspenders.
Sounds like a rolling
And it-
pantsuit.
And a
That's how
huge
it is.
winged helmet sits atop his head, underneath which peeks small pig-like orange eyes. The vast goblin surveys the room with a superior glare and idly fingers an iridescent stone fragment on a cord around his neck. I want that.
Yeah,
necklace.
sounds cool.
I'm a thief. I'll try and steal
Yeah.
it.
Great. He steps out of the office in a manner that seems a passable attempt at looking regal, shutting the door behind him with a slap that shakes the whole foundation of the structure. He then immediately ruins the grandeur of his exit by taking a final disgusting chomp of the rat on a stick he holds in his left hand and tossing the remains dismissively to the side, eliciting a yelp from the unfortunate underling it hits. I am the great Splig.
Aha!
They do speak English. And it's like,
Called it.
I was like, what is this just something that you're making up? Or.
What, Splig?
Yeah.
No, I
it's
told
like-
you. It's in every Turnoff game.
Ah.
Or he's in every Turnoff game.
I am the great Splig, king of the goblins, he bellows, throwing his arms wide, spraying bits of half-chewed rat from his maw.
Classic Splig.
We have 3 choices
Classic
of
Splig.
response. Who? You must leave this place.
Sorry, that was one of the responses, just who?
Yep.
Okay.
You must leave this place. Or, oh great Splig, I come bearing a warning, which requires deception or performance.
I have deception, but you have performance probably, and you want to use it.
There's an audience.
I do.
This
I
is
do.
the biggest-
I actually pointed. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I pointed to performance as soon as we had all the goblins come in. So
It is the largest audience that I've had the opportunity to entertain.
I will say I like the idea of saying who, even though it seems kind of disingenuous since you knew who he was before he announced himself. But I'm fine with you using performance.
All right.
Let
It would
him
be nice
act.
for you to actually use one of your skills.
Oh, great Splig, I come bearing a warning. Which will be on 5, 3, 6, 7. You gesture behind you toward the dam. Are you familiar with that, O King? It is a dam that keeps these caverns from being entirely flooded. You take a moment for this to sink in before you continue. You can see that the water spills forth. That is because the dam can no longer hold back the water of the river. It is just a matter of time before all this is underwater. At this, there is hushed muttering among the goblins, who look up warily. I'm singing all of this, by the way.
With the theremin.
Sing
Yeah.
it. Sing the dialogue.
It's come and gone. Sorry. Too late. I would if I could go back, but there's just...
I understand.
Yeah. The show must go on. At this, there's hushed muttering among the goblins, who look up warily, and Splig grinds his teeth
You
for a
should
few
have
seconds
performance.
before barking. Silence! Bringing a hush back upon the chamber. The massive goblin squints at you for a moment before giving a rough laugh. I don't believe you, he grunts. The options are, tell him a tale of a tragic flooding, threaten him with explosives, which requires story point M7
Which we
or
should have because we grabbed this.
X8, we do have, yeah. Or draw your weapon and prepare for battle. So it is down to Lindsay and Shane. Would you like to tell him a tale, threaten him with explosives, or draw your weapon?
I do have deception, so we could keep trying to go down this.
Might be fun.
But we did get those explosives.
I mean, I feel like we should try telling him the tale and having you deceive him, and then we can always... I mean, I can do so much when it's my opportunity. I don't know why you're laughing.
The classic save the best for last strategy.
Precisely.
I'm just worried that are we going to have another opportunity to use these explosives?
Yeah, I don't know. And I would like to use the explosives. We obtained them at great risk.
Did we?
Mild risk.
Sorry, I obtained them at great risk, as I remember it, and as the bards shall sing about.
I guess we did take this path, though. I feel like we should follow it through.
Yeah, tell him a tale.
I'm with Shane. I want to tell him a tale.
That's
It's
fine.
your job.
It's your decision.
You look closely and notice that for all his seeming indifference, his eyes keep darting towards the dam. You shrug grandly, spreading your hands. If you don't believe my warning, what's to be done, O king? All I can do is tell you a tale of another ruler who ignored such warnings and the consequences that resulted. You launch into a performance of the doom of Ilfin Care. Sorry.
No.
An old tale of the vain king who ordered a river diverted so he could build a grand coliseum.
Who knew Jinx could put on such a good one-woman show?
I am a cat.
Cat people.
I am put to shame.
A lonely cat lady is really good at performing, apparently. When an architect tried to warn him that the dam was unstable, the king dismissed his fears and had the woman thrown in prison. However, when the king and all his court were enjoying a gala performance, the dam finally burst and the entire nobility was drowned. You spare no detail of the grisly deaths. You watch carefully while detailing the crushing weight of the dark waters and the shrieks of the court being dragged down by their sodden garments. As Splig's face morphs from excitement to horror, you begin yet another stanza, focusing on bloated, swollen bodies. Splig finally cracks. "Enough!" shouts Splig, his voice a panic squeak. "Enough!" Thanks. You want to do the rest of that?
I mean, that's enough of that. Water sounds bad.
Splig,
I will
Mickey
speak
Mouse?
with you more about this.
Splig waves his arms grandly, and there's a sudden hubbub of rustling and shoving as all the goblins part to allow their leader to approach you. Splig walks up, leaning close to you, and smiles. "You have a good point. I can tell you're smart. And to tell the truth, I was just thinking of leaving this place. It's boring, and the rats are starting to run out. But, and this is the important part, he pokes you in the chest with one meaty finger. The king of all goblins can't leave because someone asked him to, yeah? So we gotta fight."
Uh-oh.
You open your mouth to protest, and he shakes his head quickly, sending the big winged helmet wobbling to side, and leans in closer, reflexively holding your breath. "Not a real fight, just play fighting, show style. Show this lot," he gestures to all the goblins. "They were forced. It was honor, yeah?" You're iffy on this idea, but you nod begrudgingly. Splig laughs, leaning mercifully backwards. "Fight time," he declares, and he holds up his hand to the shrill cheers of his cohorts.
Ah!
He holds out a meaty hand, and the crowd parts for three goblins carrying a massive oaken club. Splig takes it from them with satisfaction, patting its gnarled surface as they scurry away. You make a show of stretching, cracking your knuckles, and leaning your neck back and forth, basic limbering up for a fight with a bit of subtle bravado thrown in. Splig attempts to stretch for a few embarrassing moments, huffing and groaning, then gives up, acting as if he'd done exactly as he meant to. Everybody refreshes their activation token.
Oh, sucks to be you, Zadie.
You decide to make this fake combat official. "Splig," you declare, "I challenge you to combat for the fate of these caverns. If I win, you and your people will leave." Splig laughs loudly. Big words, he bellows. So we give the goblin flunkies a show, let the giant goblin wear himself out, or make a show of your ranged expertise if you have archery. You can give the goblins a show if you want to keep performing.
I do like a good show.
And if it goes bad, you also have
And
brawling.
you just
That's
stole
true.
the show, so I've got to one-up you now. You nod firmly at Splig and draw your weapon. If a good show is what's required for him and his goblins to leave, you're ready for it. You leap forward, swinging your weapon down in a nicely telegraphed arc. Almost lazily, Splig blocks the attack and counterattacks faster than you imagined someone of his size could, especially with such a heavy club. You pull backward, but just a half second too slowly. The tip of the club impacts hard with your shoulder, and you reflexively cry out in painful shock. You lose 4 stamina.
Oh, sorry about that.
Damn!
Wow, okay. Shaking out your arm, which you can already feel going a bit stiff, you take a moment to reevaluate the tactics to use against Splig. This may be a play fight, but he obviously isn't such a pushover that you need to make this easy for him. You step up your combat game. Yes, I'm all about that.
There we
Yeah,
go.
combat game. You and Splig match blows to the boos and cheers of the assembled goblin horde. Eventually, Splig stumbles after a failed attack, and you see an ideal opening to end this. Swinging toward him, you force the large goblin into a backward stumble, then change the strike into a feint, shooting out your right leg in a powerful kick, which firmly catches Splig in his vast stomach and sends him sprawling. 33-61. You lean over and press your voice into a somewhat theatrical sotto voce, ensuring the surrounding throng cannot hear. A deal is a deal, O king. You mean to continue, but are well and truly startled that the giant goblin grabs your leg and with a sudden roar, throws you aside. You lose 3 stamina.
You may
Holy
want to use...
shit.
When can you use your healing potion?
He doesn't have a healing
He
potion.
does.
I'm down to 2. No, you didn't give me
Oh.
one.
You gave it to Ryan.
Yeah.
That's true.
What does it say? When do these get used?
Whenever we want.
I think you can use them whenever you want.
Yeah, can I use it on other people?
It just says when you drink this potion, so
Sorry, bud.
wow.
You might be you're in bad shape.
It's fine, I got it from here. You're able to roll back to your feet without much of an issue. See?
Yeah.
But when you rise, you see Splig getting to his feet as well, his hideous face red with rage and wounded pride. A long silence stretches out as you and the massive goblin regard each other carefully, trying to seek out the correct next step. The silence around you is broken by a soft whisper, one goblin chanting, Splig, 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 over and over,
Can you shoot that goblin?
joined by more and more of them until the room shivers with the noise, carried by so many shrill, raspy voices. You shift and hold your weapon tighter, growing more wary by the moment, feeling the hairs on the back of your neck stand on end as the chanting and the echoes it produces in the vastness of the cavern overlap one another in a crashing cacophony. You see Splig surveying the assembled goblins, his expression slowly morphing from frustrated rage into a dark, sinister smile. Finally, he turns his gaze to yours. You hear that? How my loyal subjects support me? My subjects, he roars, and the goblins around you unleash a series of cheers in return, causing you to reflexively tense for a fight. Splig cracks his neck and grins. So good. Gives me energy to finish this fight. And, by the way, he leans over, picks up his club, and hefts it again,
So much hefting.
pointing at you. The deal is off. Our choices are, goad him into attacking, charge at the giant goblin with everything you have, channel runic lightning into your enemy, which, surprise, surprise, requires runes, or toss the explosive at Splig's feet and take cover, which we can do because we have story point X8.
I would like to...
So I've used my choice,
That's
right?
right.
I know what you would like to
Who
do.
is
I would like to goad him into attacking.
Oh, but the explosives!
explosives!
I think we explode him.
Would you like to throw the explosives since
I
I'm
don't know.
afraid to hand him the
Oh, is
book?
it just...
Yeah, it's just the two of you.
It's your shame.
Wait, what are the options?
Well, if you guys are gonna outvote me
Again.
again,
Mhm.
I don't think we'll win an attack.
Yeah.
I'm
just
not
lost.
attacking. I'm goading him. I have military, endurance, and dueling.
As
This
one
is like a perfect
Okay.
combination
You
of
want
things.
to fight him?
As one of our best fighters, I can tell you he's tough.
Yeah, all that willpower came in real
All you
handy.
do
Are
is
you-
sing.
Oh, all right. You don't want to do it?
I'm fine.
Oh, no, blow him up!
I feel like blowing him up is dangerous. The
Blow him up.
dam is about to break. We are in
No,
the cavern.
the dam about to break was a lie we told.
You could see the water.
No, yeah, because we did it that
Okay,
way.
well, I believe the lie.
We
Hashtag I believe.
I was such a good
I heard
storyteller.
a beautiful song about it.
We took the pressure off the dam, probably for just this reason, so that we could use the explosives.
You taunt the so-called king of all goblins, causing his rage to return in full. The creature charges you, each footfall thundering off the cavern walls. In a moment, he's upon you, his massive club careening down at you. If you have dueling, which I do,
What are the other skills?
agility or reasoning. Reasoning, man, reasoning's sweet.
Yeah.
Read entry 1583.
We don't get to use these stupid explosives.
I am so mad. I think that was our chance.
I didn't even think we were going to get a second chance to use it.
Yeah.
I doubt we're going to get a third.
We're not going to. You see your next move laid out in front of you. You suddenly leap forward to meet the charging goblin, sidestepping him and grabbing a hold of his club. Splig grunts in surprise and clutches tighter to his weapon, holding on beautifully as you swing him around, causing his own momentum to be used against him. As you pull the great goblin around you in a full circle, Splig going from confused to desperately hanging on to his club, you release the weapon and plant a solid kick to the center of his chest with all of your might. With a scream of bewilderment, Splig staggers backward and slams hard into a support beam, causing the entire cavern to shudder with the impact. 3857.
You then get to use your explosives.
Maybe I'll get to use the explosives in like chapter 12 or something if we don't use them here.
Alright. You and Splig take a moment to reassess the situation. Smaller goblins gather around you, but you notice that some are sneaking away as up the tunnel to the mine's entrance. Splig doesn't seem to have noticed his minions abandoning him. He's too busy watching you and waiting for you to make the next move. Press the Goblin King back with a ferocious charge. Trick Splig into hurting himself. Don't let the giant goblin get any closer, which requires archery. Perform a direct assault with runic fire, requires arcana.
Well, this is down to Ryan.
I have archery. You knock an arrow and fire. The giant goblin blocks the shaft with his great club and admires the new addition to his stolen accoutrement. I can't say that word.
Accoutrement?
Accoutrement.
Yeah, I think you got it.
I think I finally got it. I was adding syllables. A volley of several more arrows follows, shattering against the stone floor at Splig's feet or striking the rotund oaf. If you have devotion, I don't, do I? No.
Devotion?
Or story point A1 is marked.
It is. I think that was from a previous session.
Read entry 2216.
Did we go pray at a church or something?
I don't remember that.
This is literally divine intervention.
Well, it said a devotion or this, so...
As expected, the original block must have been a fluke. Your arrows fly true and sink into the stolen armor of the goblin flesh. Splig cries out in pain and flails in a blind panic. He turns to flee and finds himself backed against the foreman's office. He hasn't gone very far. The large goblin...
It's pretty bad.
The large goblin then attempts to leap through the very small window of the shack, managing only to get himself stuck and destroying the measly support of the wall. Support the wall. What? Destroying the measly support the wall gave. Oh.
Destroying the measly support that the wall gave.
That the wall gave the structure, yeah.
I feel like this whole thing is written in a very confusing manner sometimes.
Occasionally, yeah.
Sometimes.
Within moments, the entire shack collapses on top of him. That's the important part. Read entry 7943.
I think we're in good shape, guys.
It's feeling that way.
Good thing we still have the explosives for anything that might come.
That's right.
I'm still very sad about that.
Me too.
It's not
But you
over.
did great.
Ain't over till it's over.
You don't have to tell me I did great. I knew I was going to do great. For God's sakes, I'm 87 years old. I know how the world works.
An old, rich, entitled white man.
I'm not rich. I survived having left Dunmore half a century ago.
Cool.
I dedicated my life to
Yes, we've heard
understanding
this story
the
already,
history
Grandpa.
of the natural world. I'm skilled in self-sufficiency, learning, and craftsmanship.
Do you have
I'm,
ciphers?
I'm a bit old and grumpy in some ways, and set in my ways most certainly.
All right.
Continue, young man.
A moment later, Splig appears from out of the wreckage, bloodied, bruised, and all bloodlust gone from his half-unfocused eyes. He staggers forward and plops the winged helmet back on his head. Smaller goblins gather around him, jabbering to one another. Splig kicks a bit of rubble aside and reaches down to lift his massive club. He hefts it and points it in your direction, his beady eyes shadowed by his oversized helmet. Then, without a word, he breaks into a dead sprint toward the bridge over the water channel and soon vanishes up the tunnel, heading toward the mine's entrance.
This fat
Giant goblin
just got
sprinted
away sprinting.
Yeah.
Well, we're not chasing after him, and it's a sprint for his heft.
A panic
So
follows.
he's basically slowly meandering
Yeah.
up the path, and we're just letting him
A
go.
panic follows with countless goblins abandoning their weapons and their reason to scramble over one another and follow the cowardly leader. Within a few moments, you are alone in the empty mine. Only the echoes of screaming goblins in the tunnels above and discarded mine shift spears and clubs littering the ground is evidence that these halls were home to a goblin horde.
We did it!
We did.
Well, we haven't gotten out yet.
You pick through the leavings, not expecting much. However, under a plank
goblin leavings.
Under a plank from the foreman's office, you find a shard of iridescent crystal engraved with an ancient symbol. You gain the war rune item L.
Whoa.
Is that the necklace?
Yeah, I think it was what he was wearing.
Yes, I wanted that necklace.
Ooh,
Read
you gotta
entry.
get runes.
Read entry 9995.
Would you read the item?
Yeah, war rune. This rune-bound shard would passively enhance your martial prowess if crafted into a weapon or armor. On its own, however, it is no more than a small stone.
So we'll have to bring it back to the blacksmith.
Yeah, I had a note on the back that said to bring the war rune to the blacksmith.
Really? We
for
got
a
a...
weapon.
Oh.
It's the last one. It's a long walk back to the beginning of the mine, but you take comfort in the fact that you don't have to be wary of any goblin ambushes. You opt to avoid the hidden passage you entered by, and instead head to the main entrance, walking past an abandoned guard post and several makeshift wooden barriers. You lift the wooden beam that bars your path, drop it to one side, and throw open the doors. The walk back to Dragonholt will be short, and then you can deliver the good news to Fiore. This quest is complete.
Ooh.
Read entry 4832 in the Dragonholt Village book.
All right, let me note that down because we'll do that next time. 4832.
Mm-hmm.
And was there an option to just like blow up the exits
As we're
as we
leaving.
leave?
We're using these damn explosives.
Ryan is taking notes over here.
Yeah.
It's gotta, Ryan is just drowning in loot.
I'm so rich.
He's got mushrooms and magic runes.
And
He's gonna have a great time when we get back to
yeah,
town.
when we get back to the city, I'm gonna, well, first,
You're gonna get high and then visit Fiore?
no, I'm gonna take the war room to commission a magical sword from the smithy, and then I'm gonna get high.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna do my business before I get high. Like
Did
a
you
responsible
draw a
adult.
mushroom on the bottom of your...
Yeah, I have a mushroom here, a little gem, and a moon, and whatever this is.
A
You're
new
right.
moon.
Yeah.
Gen Z, just all drug addicts.
Look at this 19-year-old.
No wonder he doesn't have a name.
I also
Yeah.
have full 12 out of 12 stamina, unlike this guy.
Yeah, how
That
you doing,
guy's
Brandon?
really close to being dead.
Yeah, I'm not feeling great.
Once we go back, I can probably give you. I'll think about giving you one of the potions.
Probably have some opportunities to rest in town
Yeah.
too. and
Probably.
get some of
We're
that
almost
rest.
done with the first day, and I assume that there's an opportunity to rest then, too.
Yeah, all in all, we didn't lose nearly as much stamina as we did.
It
in
was
the forest
literally
one.
just you. Oh,
No, he took one hit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Two. Well, one hit for 2 damage.
Yeah, I took
All
3
of it.
hits for 10 damage. All right, so we did it. We cleared the mine. We, for some reason, did it without any explosions. A decision I will never understand. Ryan got all the loot, and we're headed back to town.
I feel like our decision not to use explosive is what's going to be like the wedge that drives this party apart.
Oh yeah, we are never going to be the same. No. So it will be another time that we play the Dragonholt Village. I guess it'll be day 2 in there, and we'll see about getting you a sword.
And shrooming.
And true.
And we'll do some shrooming. Maybe
It's gonna be
finally make
great.
it to one of those bars I was going to perform at.
Cool.
No, but it's
You need to
fire.
do something because you haven't been very
This'll
useful
make it
in this
better.
group.
I'm the tank, clearly. I
We
took
may
all the
have to
hits.
drop you and pick up somebody else. Where's that one big lady? We need to bring her back in and toss you. You can
Oh,
take care of
yeah.
that tiny person.
What was her name? I liked her.
I know it was Miriam and something.
Yeah.
Miriam was
I'm
obnoxious.
I'm sure we'll meet them again in town.
We just might. We just might.
All right, well, Thank you for watching. Hope
Thank
you enjoyed this as much as we did at times. And
I enjoyed it. I made great decisions. Thank you. Signing off, this is Zadie Redbeard. Excuse me. This is Zadie Redbeard signing off. Remember to play optimally.
it's be optimal.
It's play optimally now.
Now that this is Zadie's channel.
Your performance.
Be optimal. I hate you all.